Welcome back to the Wrestle Rewind with your host, Max.
And Vitamin J.
And here we are. We're now up to December 23rd of 1996 for a Monday night review. So we're going to just jump right into Nitro. The show opens up with a semifinal match for the U.S. title tournament between Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. Notably, Woman does not accompany Benoit this week. We'll see if there's a reason for that. As the match begins, we cut to a pre-recorded interview with Kevin Sullivan. Sullivan says Benoit thinks he beat the ultimate chess player and took his queen, but he warns Benoit that he fell into his trap and he awoke something that should have been left alone.
And DDP's on commentary as well, because the winner of this match gets to wrestle DDP at Starrcade.
Yep, because DDP got that bye thanks to the double count-out with the Arn Anderson and Lex Luger match. What number matchup singles is this now?
We are on the 7th singles match.
And what's the score right now?
By 12:23, the record is... Benoit's 4-2 singles matches.
Eddie's got some catching up to do. Let's see if he can narrow that lead here. So the match starts off, both men are just aggressively pushing and slapping each other. But at one point in the match, Benoit hits a huge stun gun at Eddie Guerrero.
Got a lot of vert on that one.
That got a huge pop from the crowd. Benoit followed that up with a backdrop and then another beautiful powerbomb.
A little like snap power bomb. They always, man, Eddie Guerrero gets it flat back every time.
So while this match that we have here is actually really good, unfortunately, Larry Zbyszko's on commentary and he's up to his usual bullshit. He's talking about how Woman isn't here tonight because she must be home washing dishes, stuff like that. He just can't help himself.
Time has not looked kindly on Larry Z's commentary.
No.
I still it's like okay for the most part, but whenever he talks about women or the cruiserweights, it gets annoying.
Yep, very outdated. But we'll go back to the match. Eddie is able to get some offense in. He has a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, and he climbs the ropes to go for the frog splash. But Benoit gets up, and he meets him up there, and he delivers a nasty-looking superplex. And Benoit attempts to pin Eddie using the ropes, but the ref sees it and breaks the count. And then Benoit puts Eddie back onto the top turnbuckle, and the ref, for whatever reason, goes up there too to stop Benoit. So Benoit shoves the ref, but Eddie shoves Benoit, goes crashing down to the mat, and then Eddie hits a beauty of a frog splash for the win.
Yeah, I liked it. It was like a turnaround frog splash.
Yeah, it was a really good match. This match took 10 minutes and 34 seconds. It's a fantastic match, especially for a Nitro match. Yeah, this was probably the best match in the U.S. title tournament, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, easily.
So Eddie Guerrero has narrowed the lead from Benoit 4-3, and he advances to the finals against DDP for the U.S. title.
They also had a tag match against each other, and Guerrero won that. So in all matches, they're now 4-4.
Good job, Eddie. So after this match, we go to an interview with the Four Horsemen. Arn Anderson tells Chris Benoit that if he was more focused, he wouldn't have lost his match. And then he starts talking to Sullivan. He says he saw a rage in Sullivan's eyes last week. And he tells Benoit that he took a beating for Benoit last week because Benoit is a horseman. And then Arn asks Benoit, where is Woman? Benoit says Woman is tending to horseman business and he doesn't appreciate the unjust allegations against him. Benoit reveals that while he and Woman were in Germany, they devised a plan to reunite the horsemen. Before Benoit can get into that plan, he gets interrupted by Mongo. And Benoit, a grown man, tells Mongo, another grown man,
talk to the hand, because the man don't understand.
It was very cringe. I'm like, why did Benoit think that was a good line? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work.
No, but back to this promo here. Things don't seem to be going well between Mongo and Benoit, but Ric Flair butts in and he tells the Horsemen that it will be Christmas in 2 days, and the Horsemen are here to reunite and party all night long. Flair says Woman has worked hard enough this year and it deserves to have the weekend with Benoit, and he ends it with saying the Horsemen are alive and well.
What's all this fighting about?
Yep, he's trying to be the peacekeeper. Yeah, it's just the same repeat. We're just stuck in the same place. But we'll go to the next segment for Nitro. We have an NWO segment. Notably, this is Hollywood Hogan, Ted DiBiase, Vincent, and Liz. DiBiase tells the production team to hit Hollywood Hogan with that Hollywood spotlight because Hollywood Hogan has something to say. Hogan wonders where Piper is, and he says he knows Piper is in the deepest, darkest place hiding because he is afraid of Hollywood. Hogan reminds Piper that there's a pecking order, and Hollywood is the man that made people believe in wrestling, while people like Macho Man, Ric Flair, and Roddy Piper are beneath him. He probably does think that.
Probably.
Hogan then ends the segment saying it's time to get the fans what they want, and he does some of his posing and all that sort of fun stuff.
I think these segments are pretty funny because it does show Hogan's, like, at least the Hollywood Hogan character's ego is out of control.
Yep. No, I actually think this was a decent segment for Hogan. Just shows his narcissism and makes you want to hate him. So, mission accomplished. Mm-hmm. But before we go to Raw, let's go quickly over this next match for Nitro. It is the debut of Tombstone versus Lex Luger. If you don't know who Tombstone is, he was 911 in ECW. I did not know he came to WCW.
If you hadn't seen him, all he did was he would come into the ECW ring during a match, especially or a promo segment, especially if that was bad, and chokeslam people. He couldn't wrestle to save his life, and that will be evidenced by what you see during this match.
This match here is pretty basic. To start off, Luger tries to tackle Tombstone, but he isn't able to knock him down. So he repeatedly tries it. He can't do it. But Luger is able to clothesline Tombstone out of the ring. But it's not very effective because Tombstone gets back into the ring, hits a scoop slam and elbow drop on Luger for a 2 count. Luger hulks up and he clotheslines Tombstone twice and he hits him with his metal plated forearm, and then he follows that up with a torture rack for the win. That match took 3 minutes and 38 seconds. So the match isn't important. What is important is what happens after the match. As Luger is celebrating, the Giant comes out and he tries to attack Luger, but Luger's able to get the upper hand and stagger the Giant, and he goes to torture rack him, and he actually gets him up, but before he can really apply the hold, we see Scott Hall and Kevin Nash come out, forcing Luger to let go of the hold, and Luger leaves, and he starts jawing with Hall and Nash as we go to commercial.
The crowd during this segment during this point is going absolutely nuts. They are ready for this Luger and Giant match. So it was a good segment. Yes. I definitely would check it out just to see the crowd reaction.
Yes, and these two will have a match at Starrcade, so they're doing a good job of building to that. But let's see what Raw's got going on, the WWF side of things. We opened the show, just going straight to our first match here. It is Mark Mero with Sable versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley in an Intercontinental title match. And I couldn't tell you what number match this is between them.
I'm about to tell you. This is their 4th singles match, but they have 6 matches involving one another. And that's only since May of this year.
Yep, and we just had an Intercontinental title match between them 8 days ago. But we're having it again. But Jim Ross does announce a special rule for this match. He says if Hunter Hearst Helmsley gets DQ'd or counted out, he will lose the Intercontinental title tonight. We do also hear Goldust music play, and we see Goldust come through the crowd, and he takes a seat amongst the fans. He wants to get a good look at the action here. And start out this match, Mero hits a couple of arm drags on Triple H, and he clotheslines him out of the ring. Mero gets out of the ring and chases Jerry Lawler away from the announce table, and Jerry Lawler goes all the way up the entranceway. Helmsley takes the opportunity to grab a chair, and he looks like he intends to hit Mero with it. But before he does, he remembers, dang, he can't do that. He'll get DQ'd. So he drops the chair, and the announcers also tell us that Goldust will be facing the winner of this match, which kind of gives away the result of this one.
When they said that Goldust gets the win, I'm like, do I really want to see Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Goldust again?
Well, it doesn't matter if you want to, Jacob. You will.
There was one arm drag that Mero hits that I really like. Now, I will say, Triple H sold very well during this match.
Because Triple H knows how to sell. But later in this match, we're getting near the end here, Mero misses the Mero Salt, and Helmsley takes advantage, and he hits Mero with the pedigree for the win. And afterwards, Mero sells frustration, and he has to be separated from Helmsley after the match. Not very happy that he lost. But this match is fine, but I think the matchup is just stale, so I just wasn't really looking forward to this. Mm-hmm. But I think this may be sort of the end of Mero being pushed by WWF. This is kind of when he starts falling down that card.
Yeah, I wonder what caused that to happen.
I don't know, because he got paid a lot of money. After the match is over and Mero leaves, Helmsley grabs a mic and he talks to Goldust, and he tells Goldust that he's going to show him what it's like to be a real man. And he tells Marlena that she will find out what it's like to be with a real man, which of course pisses Goldust off. And Goldust heads towards the ring, but Helmsley books it and he leaves. So we don't get any physical altercation between the two just yet. After that match, we do go to a recap of the match between Billy Gunn and Bart Gunn last week. And Vince tells us that Billy doesn't have the use of his legs right now. And we go to a clip from Livewire where Bart Gunn says he wished that it happened to him, and he is sorry and he didn't mean for it to happen. So in case you care about the Billy Gunn, Bart Gunn storyline, that's the update for you. I don't think anyone particularly cares.
No.
So let's go back to Nitro. We get to our third match, and it is JL versus Rey Mysterio Jr. And as with all JL matches, I think they would be a lot more interesting if he was just Jerry Lynn.
Well, Bischoff probably didn't think so.
Yeah, I don't know, but look, it's crap. It's crap.
I really just want to point out the finish. Alright, so Rey Mysterio has JL on the top rope. As he's sitting on the top turnbuckle, Rey Mysterio springboards from the top rope up on top of JL's shoulders, and then he turns it into a Hurricane Rana for the pin. It was beautiful.
It was a beauty of a finish. It really was. But this was actually a decent match. It took 6 minutes, 2 seconds. Back and forth contest for the most part. But that top rope Frankensteiner was simply a beaut. There's a reason Rey Mysterio is considered an all-time great.
Yeah, the best luchador to ever exist, at least in our time.
But after the match, Rey Mysterio goes to the announce booth, and he tells us that people are saying that Sting is with the NWO, but Rey Mysterio says that is not true. He says Sting did not try to hurt him last week, unlike Nash, who threw him into a trailer, or the Giant chokeslamming him, trying to end his career at World War III. Mysterio says Sting is on WCW's side, and he tells the production truck to replay the tape from last week so we can see it for ourselves. But instead of actually showing that, we go to commercial. So they gotta make Rey Mysterio look like a loser by doing that. I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the funny part was early in the show they did show that replay, but Rey Mysterio wants it to be shown that we just don't do it. But that is the first hour of Nitro there. We'll go into the second hour of Nitro, and we'll go to our fourth match.
The start of the second hour is always supposed to be this big thing, right? And what Bischoff has given us today on a nice plate is Glacier versus Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. And Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker is doing his army gimmick, which he was doing just recently as World War III last month, but he was called Jack Boot.
Before we get to the match, Shivani says he has received word from the NWO that Roddy Piper is in the building, and which they're not believing it. He didn't call that propaganda because it's the NWO telling them this. He says Roddy Piper's not here tonight. We shall see. And during Glacier's entrance, we get the snowfall as usual, but Bobby Heenan made me laugh. He quipped that Glacier has the worst case of dandruff he has ever seen. I thought that was kind of funny.
I want to talk about Buddy Lee Parker for a minute, because Buddy Lee Parker was a trainer at the power plant. And when you watch this match, you're going to come to the realization that Buddy Lee Parker is a terrible wrestler. Absolutely terrible. So why was he training people?
Well, maybe that's why WCW didn't have that many homegrown stars. But let's go ahead and go to this match. Here's a quick one. As Glacier is wrapping up his posing for his entrance, Sergeant Parker tries to get the jump on Glacier, but Glacier is one step ahead, and he unleashes a fury of martial arts moves as the crowd boos, clearly not giving a damn about this match. Sergeant Parker gets a bloody nose throughout this as he's getting thoroughly beaten by Glacier's martial arts prowess. And Glacier hits the cryonic kick, which missed, for a 2 count.
Yeah, well, they screwed the finish. He kicked out of the cryonic kick, and then they kick him again, and then he falls and hits the ropes. They completely botched the finish.
Yeah, he definitely was not supposed to kick out that first cryonic kick.
No, the first man that we're kicking out is Buddy Lee Parker. A man who he ended up beating in 2 minutes.
Yep, 2 minutes, 29 seconds. This match was a complete waste of time, even with it being that short. Fans don't care. I don't care. You don't care. We'll move on.
It should have just been match starts, chronic kick, end.
Yep, but let's go over to Raw, see if we can get something better here. Before we get to the next match, we go to Sunny in a Christmas outfit to join commentary because she wants to do some recruiting for this next match. And it is Salvatore Sincere with Jim Cornette versus Rocky Maivia. So clearly she is out here to recruit Rock like she has been the past few weeks. And if you're wondering why Jim Cornette is with Salvatore Sincere, it is because Rocky Maivia turned down Jim Cornette's offer to manage him, so he's not happy with him right now.
So that means Sunny thinks she has a chance.
Yep. For the match, Sunny on commentary drools all over Rocky Maivia the whole match. She clearly likes what she sees, and I'll just go straight to the finish because this is really a nothing match. Rocky Maivia wins the match with the shoulder breaker. And while this match took 5 minutes and 48 seconds, it felt longer than that to me. But you could see right away the potential with Rocky Maivia and why they wanted to push him. He clearly has talent, and we know that he did. But after this, we do get an in-ring interview with Sycho Sid. And Sid says within the past 30 days, he has beaten the 2 greatest technical wrestlers ever, and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. And at the end, there was only power. And he says he is the super predator of the WWF, and he wants everyone to realize that he is 6'9" and over 300 pounds, and he will be the same size tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. Just putting over that he is bigger and better than everyone.
I like the promo.
Yeah, the only thing is that they played the music throughout the whole thing, and I don't
remember like they did that a lot. Like they did it during Undertaker as well, like sometime when he was it was something that Vince wanted to try and it didn't hit.
No. But I don't care what the internet says about Sid. I thought this was another pretty good promo.
Now that he's passed away, the internet is pretending that they liked him the whole time. At least it seems like a good chunk of them.
Yeah, but routinely they say he's a bad promo, which he does have bad promos, but I do think he's also better than his reputation. But let's go ahead and go back to Nitro. We'll go to our 5th match. It is the Amazing French Canadians with Colonel Robert Parker versus Public Enemy. I don't know how many times we see these two wrestle. I don't care about either of these teams. I'm just going to go straight to the finish. I don't think anyone's going to mind.
Yeah, no.
So, as the Canadians are getting the upper hand, they go to put a table on the top turnbuckle, kind of like they've done in the past. And Ouellette stands on it so they can deliver one of those super high Quebecer crashes. But Rocco Rock grabs the table and it sort of breaks before it's supposed to. And so they completely botched the spot. Public Enemy grabs the broken table and they hit both of the Amazing French Canadian members here with the table, causing a disqualification. And after the match, Public Enemy put Ouellette on the broken table for some reason. That's flat on the ground. And they hit their version of the Quebecer crash in a dumb looking spot.
Of course, the Amazing French Canadians, it's just, there's just nothing there.
Yeah, this match was just a bathroom break match, if we're honest. Sorry, no disrespect. But after the match, the next match is Big Bubba versus Conan with Jimmy Hart.
I want to point out, Nick Patrick's referee this match, and it's the first time since World War III. Because he had the net brace, and everything.
This is the elite referee Nick Patrick's return.
Yes.
But early on in the match, Bubba goes to the outside. He goes after Jimmy Hart, but Bubba's not able to get to Jimmy Hart because Conan hits a suicide dive onto Bubba. And then later on in the match, Bubba runs the ropes and he purposely trips and he tells Nick Patrick that Jimmy Hart was the one who tripped him. So Nick Patrick goes to talk to Jimmy Hart and Jimmy Hart starts gesturing at Nick Patrick, starts pointing at him, and Nick Patrick acts like Jimmy Hart poked him in the eye even though he clearly didn't. So he ejects Jimmy Hart. So we're seeing some collusion here. But it doesn't matter though because Conan gets himself disqualified because he tossed Big Bubba over the top rope. Of course, that is one of the archaic WCW rules. So it is a disqualification. And after the ruling, Conan goes after Nick Patrick, but Bubba pulls Nick Patrick out of the ring and they leave together. I don't know why Conan's mad. That is a rule in WCW, so.
Yeah, it is a rule.
But this is the second match to end in a disqualification, kind of lazy.
This is a tried and true tradition of WCW, man. This is one of the reasons people start to get mad, because this doesn't go away, most matches ending in DQ, or at least most big matches ending in DQ. This will last pretty much their whole tenure.
Yeah, but I did enjoy this match better than the last one just because I like the antics with Nick Patrick, Jimmy Hart, and like Bubba faking that he got tripped. So I got a kick out of that. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and go back to Raw. Let's see what we got going on here. We got our third match, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name, but Pyro or Pyroth and Cybernetico versus the New Rockers. I think we said Mario Jannetty was gone. I think this might be his last match.
I think this might be his last one.
But of course, again, WWF is featuring these AAA stars because they will be at the Royal Rumble because WWF roster is so thin right now. And we also see Mil Mascaras at the Spanish announce table, and I can't wait to talk about what he does at the Royal Rumble. But we'll just go to the finish here. Pyroth wins the match after hitting a top rope splash on Jannetty, and after the match, Leif Cassidy is frustrated at yet another loss, and he punches Jannetty, and this officially ends the New Rockers. And this will be Jannetty's last match, for real this time, until he returns in 2005.
Yeah, and sorry, Cassidy, if you're tired of losing, but it's not going to change for you anytime soon.
No. But after the match, we do go to an interview with Mil Mascaras. It was hard to hear him because they got music playing in the background again and, the language barrier. But basically what he's saying, he is ready for the Royal Rumble. But we got one more thing in Nitro, then we got to both main events. We'll go back to Nitro for our 7th match. It is Dean Malenko versus William Regal in a TV title match.
William Regal, sir. William.
My apologies.
Let me redo that. Steven Regal. This is the Cruiserweight champion versus the TV champion. But as the match gets going, we see Sonny Ono come out. He doesn't stay long, though, because the ref throws Sonny Ono out after him being out there for only like a minute or two. And I guess it's because he's taking a few pictures. Mark Curtis didn't like that, I guess, so he tosses him. But as for the match, the two go back and forth for a while. And Malenko gets the Texas Cloverleaf on Steven Regal, but Regal was able to get to the ropes. Later, Malenko hits a nice brain buster on Regal and goes for the pin, but The bell rings as time expires. TV title matches have a 10-minute time limit, so we have a time limit draw. But for this match, it's a nice technical match. It had a lot of mat wrestling, and this just kind of helped showcase that Malenko could hang with the heavyweights. And it was nice to see him work a different style than usual because he wasn't the bigger guy in this match. So I like this. But we'll go to Raw, and we'll go over their main event.
Oh my God, this is the main event for this.
Yeah.
Because as usual, Raw has a week main event. We have fake Razor Ramon versus Bret Hart. We see the Honky Tonk Man come out. He joins the commentary team. He says he is looking for a wrestler to manage, and he is looking for someone he can reach new heights with.
It leads to something, but it doesn't go anywhere.
No, yeah, don't get excited with this Honky Tonk Man stuff. But for the match, I'm not going to waste anyone's time going blow by blow, even though this is the main event. Bret Hart wins with the sharpshooter in 7 minutes and 16 seconds, which is about 7 minutes too long. This was a waste of time. I thought we may get a Stone Cold run in or something, but we did not. So this was kind of a very poor end to Raw, but we are not done yet. To close the show, we go backstage to Shawn Michaels, who has given Vince a ton of attitude, and he mocks Vince for asking him dumb questions. Vince asks Shawn about his impression of Bret Hart's victory tonight, and Shawn says he is not surprised Bret won. He says anything can happen in WWF, and says if he is going to get beaten by Sid, he will get beaten like a man, but he says that won't happen, and he will win like a man. And that is the end of Raw. But this kind of shows Shawn not being that babyface anymore. He's starting to get a little edge to him. So that's nice.
96, Shawn was okay and stuff, but there was a lot of stuff like the face Shawn that just wasn't for me. I just think Shawn Michaels is a better heel.
Yeah, I do too. But I mean, Shawn had good matches in 96. Just the character stuff just wasn't there. But that is Raw. Overall, subpar matches again here. I don't think we had any match that I would actually rewatch. It's not the worst we've seen, but it's definitely nowhere near the best we've seen. I think last week's was much better. And at this point, when we're watching these, I'm like, Vince, would you please fight back against WCW? Like, you're not putting on much of a fight, my guy. And it just kind of let down because Survivor Series was so good, but the follow-up after that has been pretty bad.
Yeah, I will say their main event stuff is good, but everything else is just subpar. Yeah. And then WCW, our main event right now is going to be Rick Steiner versus Jeff Jarrett. And if you recall, both of these wrestlers have been talking crap about Sting recently. And so now they're probably duking it out to see who can talk more crap about Sting.
They've both gotten the business end of Sting recently. We'll see who Sting hates more, maybe. Jarrett starts the match off doing his usual strutting. Rick Steiner's not one for that, so he rams Jarrett into the turnbuckle. And throughout this match, Rick Steiner keeps laughing like an excited child for some reason. It's not something he normally does, but he kept doing it during this match.
Steiner having a good time. Listen to it. Big elbow.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. Rick then hits Jarrett with a belly-to-belly as the NWO Sting comes out. And, of course, the announcers act like they can't tell if it's the real Sting or not, even though we all have eyeballs and can tell it's not.
There's going to be a time where 7-footers like Kevin Nash pretend to be Sting. The commentary is like, is that Sting? I'm like, is Sting 7 feet to you, Tony Schiavone?
But now, Jacob, we're getting to the finish of this match.
So the NWO Sting sets Jarrett up for the Scorpion Death Drop, and then he hits the Steiner Liner, and then Jarrett jumps on top of NWO Sting, and the ref counts to 3. So somehow, a man who was not even involved in the match decides to finish. What?
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Like, what are we doing?
This is your main event.
When I watched this, my note for this, I wrote down and said, what the fuck is going on? And like you said, Jarrett wins the match by pinning someone that's not even in the match. I think the crowd didn't even know how to react to this. That's an F- segment here. F-. Terrible.
Yep. And your main event was only 2 minutes long.
WCW is so far ahead of WWF at this point that they can do dumb shit like this and still win the rating war. But we're not done yet. After a commercial break, when we hear the NWO music play, and out comes Hogan again for another promo segment. He says he told us that Piper wasn't going to be here, and he says he just got a Western Union letter from Roddy Piper, and Piper admitted to Hogan that Hogan is the icon and is greater than Piper ever would be, or ever could be. And after he says that, we hear Piper's music play, and instead of the real Roddy Piper, we see Eric Bischoff come out dressed as Roddy Piper. Bischoff, of course, imitates Roddy Piper when he gets into the ring. He starts imitating him on the mic. He tells Hogan that he had no right to be with him in the ring at WrestleMania. So I was surprised by that name drop. And Piper says that there's no way he can beat Hogan at Starrcade, and he tells Hogan that they will have their match here tonight. So out comes Nick Patrick, and Bischoff lays down in the ring, and Hogan, air quotes, pins Piper. So Hogan has beaten Piper. Wow, the feud's over now.
There's no need for the pay-per-view now.
Yep. Bischoff Piper then gets up and he starts bowing down to Hogan as the real Roddy Piper's music plays.
I did like that part. They were like, oh, they play with the crowd with the bagpipes, and then the bagpipes come on again. And this time Piper comes out because the crowd goes into it.
Yep. Hogan and Bischoff do a good job selling surprise. We see actually a whole group of bagpipers come out, and they continue playing for a while until, again, the real Roddy Piper comes out. I like the build up there with all the bagpipers. Real good. Real
Same.
good.
Yep.
And as Piper's walking to the ring, the crowd is going crazy. Then as Piper gets into the ring and Hogan and Piper start trading blows, and then we see the other NWO members come out and they grab Piper as Hogan punches him repeatedly. We then see Sting watching on in the rafters as Hogan takes off his weight belt and starts whipping Piper with it until the WCW security come out and break things up as we end the show. This was a hot ending. What a fantastic segment here.
Hot, very hot. Crowd was electric.
Dude, this was a great segment. It saved what was a very, very poor match before, because I was about to be real harsh in my rating, but that saved it a little bit.
No, it was a good ending. Good ending.
For Nitro as a whole, we actually got a couple matches that got a little bit of time. 2 matches got 10 minutes or more, and those matches were actually pretty good. So Nitro had the better wrestling today. They had the better ending. So, of course, my winner is Nitro.
My winner is Nitro as well. 8 weeks in a row for me. For the real streak, we're on the 26th week.
Yes. And this is the go-home show before Starrcade, so Starrcade is next. And I just thought this was a good end segment to make you excited for that Hogan-Piper match.
The rating was 3.1 for Nitro, 1.5 for Raw.
Damn.
Past 3 weeks for Raw, they had the exact same rating, 2.3. So they saw their rating go down 0.8. Whereas Nitro has pretty much remained the same. It was 3.1 this week, 3.2 last week, 3.3 the week before, and then 3.4 the week before that. So I don't know what happened to Raw's 0.8 because Nitro's rating didn't increase, but they didn't check out Raw. Something else must have been on.
The ass whooping of Nitro over Raw continues. We'll see what happens at Starrcade. This is WCW's biggest pay-per-view. We'll see if they deliver a good show.